remember when we had just over 200 illegal immigrants, basically just bum rush ICE and National Guard soldiers who were securing our southern border? They pushed past the razor wire because they were just trying to get to an ICE official, and they hurt a bunch of the National Guard, and people got injured, and it was a border riot. It was a border riot. Well, those folks, most of those folks, 124 of them have just been let go because they weren't a security threat. Okay. Yeah. Let's get into it. Here we go. I mean, as far as, did they murder anybody? Did they set anybody on fire like our fine friend in New York City? No, they didn't. But when you've come into the country illegally, felony offense, and then, you get in a scuffle with said security at the border, that's kind of a double whammy right there, right? It's a double whammy there, right there. But I think this is a big FU to the incoming administration from the standpoint of, they're mostly good people. We're just going to let them go. 124 of them who violently stormed El Paso border riot, not security threats. Well, then what does define a security threat? Let's watch a quick video on how this all went down before.
Tensions flared at the border this afternoon with nearly 500 migrants forcing their way through the wire to get to the border wall. In footage taken by our crew, KTSM crew, Texas National Guard soldiers are physically restraining people. Our KTSM 9 News reporter Tirza Ortiz tells us what Border Patrol and the mayor had to say about today's incident.
Tensions at the southern border rising, with hundreds of migrants forcing their way through a wire barrier to flood the border gates, trampling over Texas National Guard troops as they rush to turn themselves in to Border Patrol agents for processing.
One thing that
their whole thing was that they were booking it into the United States to turn themselves over as soon as they could to an ICE official so that they could start that whole process. I mean, just this whole thing is just loaded with lunacy. I mean, you shouldn't be able to, bum rush border guards, get in, and then not get deported. That's not really how this is supposed to go. But that's why we're doing this podcast, right?
We need to make clear is that our job, the Border Patrol job, our mission is to safeguard our nation's borders.
Safeguarding the nation's borders as hundreds of migrants rush the southern wall seeking entry into the United States through the Border Safety Initiative marker, more commonly known as Gate 36.
This is not an international port of entry. This is not designated as a port of entry to make a legal claim for asylum.
A spokesman for the U.S. Border Patrol saying migrants are coming by the masses, risking their lives to seek asylum based off of misinformation.
They are just following instructions from social media, transnational criminal organizations that are giving them the false hope and the false information of a safe passage.
El Paso Mayor Oscar Leeser saying the chaotic confrontation is incomparable to the numbers the border saw in 2023.
If you look at a year ago, we had almost 200,000 people year to date. Right now we have about 95,000 year to date. So the number has been cut in more than half that have been coming in this year. So that's nothing that we don't see every day.
Mayor Leeser says he feels confident in the city's partnership with Customs and Border Patrol to handle the future unknowns without assistance from the state.
You're talking about the National Guard. It's something that we didn't request and we won't request from the state of Texas.
We've got stories that I can't read on other channels because they've got some sensitive content like this one. Olympus Spa under fire over gender policy. You had a Korean spa where female only, big lawsuit, transgender dude said, "Hey, I belong in here. I'm a woman." No, you're not. Big court case. Yeah. And there's some just crazy stuff going on. This is where I cover those topics. What's it going to cost you? $3.99 a month. You get a 14-day free trial. Check it out. Thanks in advance. Felons that come across the border that injure, said officers at the border, they're not a security threat. All right. I'm game. Let's go ahead and hit play and see what we got. More than 100 migrants who rioted at the southern border in March, injuring guards in the process, have now been freed into the country because they weren't deemed a serious enough security threat. No, they got to light somebody on fire. They have to, run after somebody with a gun. They have to threaten them with murder. They have to, they really have to make an impact in Joe Biden's America to get deported, don't they? Yeah. Well, I think a lot of that will change. I really think this is going to change. Of the 211 migrants who broke through razor wire and rushed toward the border wall in March in El Paso, 124 have been cut loose by ICE under a Biden administration policy that directs the agency to prioritize their enforcement and detention capacity for those deemed public safety, national security, and border security risks. Well, I guess rushing the border and hurting those in command, that doesn't really count. I get that's what I'm hearing. I mean, I'm kind of being sarcastic, but I'm also like, what the F are we even doing here then? I mean, what's going on? Texas National Guard told the Post that the decision to release the rioters is a slap in the face to the soldiers who are still reeling from the injuries they sustained in the wild, caught-on-camera melee. I mean, that was it's like, what is going on here? These people are rushing the border. I mean, we know they're coming. It's not like they're sneaking in. They just want to get here so badly that they're willing to do whatever to basically run over the guys that they're trying to get to run into their buddies that are right there. ICE, right? Goes a long way to show where our officials' loyalties lie, the source said. This is an FU. This is a parting FU. Yeah, they're just not really all that, they're not criminal oriented enough for us to actually deport them. We have soldiers who are still recovering from injuries to this day, and our officials have shielded their attackers from any consequence. Shouldn't they have just been straight up deported? I mean, you know what? Yeah, you rushed the guards. You're here illegally. You came a day late, $1 short. You're going to send you back to Mexico. I'm going to let you just work in Mexico. I mean, yeah, I get it. You've got this surge mentality. You're hearing all this stuff back then. Oh my gosh, if Biden doesn't win. Remember, Biden was still running for office then, right? He was their guy and he was not looking well. As we found out after his first few days in office, per that Wall Street Journal report that recently came out, the administration and basically mainstream media and Democrats all conspired to just basically put a lid on the fact that Biden was losing his mind. He was not competent to be president of the United States. He was not competent to be leader of the free world. But when you've got policy like this going on, I mean, it kind of makes you realize, all right, this is what we're doing. This is so ridiculous. And that's why you need to have that kind of pendulum swing and have Tom Homan come in, who I believe when he says that he's going to get the job done, and if you don't want to let him and his boys get the job done, then get the F out of the way because they're coming and they will arrest you. I believe it when he says that. Now, some of that's just bluster, but a lot of that, this is pushback for basically having a wide open southern border with virtually no rules at all. Just, come on in. National Guard, public safety officers, they'll get you a ride to the nearest migrant center. We'll get you hooked up with some clothes, some food. Then we'll get you a nice bus ride to Denver, maybe Chicago, maybe DC, anywhere you want to go that's not here. We'll get you there. This type of precedent setting will only serve to encourage more aggression and violence from the migrants because they have been shown that they can absolutely get away with it. Yeah. How does this work? I mean, honestly, in what shape, how is this even a thing? And if if Americans did this in another country, do you think they'd be like, just go ahead and, walk your way back into the United States? I don't think so. There'd be some kind of repercussion. You'd have to pay some kind of fine. You'd have to do something. Yeah, maybe a little jail time. I don't know. Maybe community service. Maybe get rid of some graffiti. I'm not really sure. But the fact that there's just no repercussions here whatsoever is indicative of just how silly this whole border thing has been. During the March 21st border bum rush captured in viral video by Post, 211 migrants broke through razor wire and rushed towards the U.S. border wall, taking down the National Guardsmen who were attempting to push the group back to Mexico. I mean, it's not like they were running away. They were running to these guys, right? I mean, the whole thing is it's shocking how sideways this has gone, because they knew that if they could get in there, and the faster they get, basically paroled to the interior of the United States, they can start, working on their piece of the American dream. Don't worry about, rushing some officials at the actual border itself. Those guys, they don't really count for anything other than, securing the southern border, right? But what we're saying is, anything goes. At least one of the rioters stomped the knee of a soldier as the group overpowered the few present troops. The entire migrant mob was criminally charged, but those cases were dropped in May due to a technicality. Ugh. That's so annoying. I say deport them just on principle. That's what I say. Came into the country illegally. Boop, we're going to put you back into mid-Mexico somewhere. You can try again. An ICE source previously told Post that the decision-making process for those who keep in detention is arbitrary. Oh, really? Yeah, this is so arbitrary. Sometimes we arrest a child molester and he gets released because of housing space, or the charge is not egregious enough to keep him or her in custody. Only raped him 3 times. It's okay. I mean, those people who do 4 rapings, they're the ones we're really going to go after. Yeah, 4 and above, that's the limitation. Arbitrary, right? Just 5 of the rioters remain in ICE custody, probably because they've got some kind of criminal background already. And what we're saying is that, coming into the country illegally and then, doing some more illegal activity with border security cameras just panned on them nonstop 24/7, that there's just, go ahead and do whatever you want, because we're not going to stop you. In September, Texas Governor Greg Abbott revealed that more than 100 of the rioting migrants were suspected members of Tren de Aragua. From Tren de Aragua, a violent prison gang. But hey, we don't really have anything to hold these folks on. So we'll just let them move along. They're not that violent. I mean, we don't really have any records on them. It's kind of like in New Jersey and New York and all these other places that are seeing the drones, where we're being told, hey, we don't really know who the drones are from. We don't know if they're being, flown here from another country. We don't really know. But bottom line is they don't appear to be a threat, so don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Hey, millions and millions of people coming across the southern border. We don't really know who they are, but don't worry about it. They're not a threat. And even if they do bum rush the border, don't worry about it. They're not, they don't have criminal tendencies that we can see. I mean, 100 of them are known members of Tren de Aragua, but, set that aside. We just want to be a welcoming country, and, we just want to bring all the people in, sing Kumbaya, and it should be just fine, right? Except for that woman on the subway in New York City who got lit on fire from a dude from Guatemala. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. In an effort to prevent future violence at the border, Texas increased the number of soldiers and state troopers in the area, arming them with non-lethal pepper ball guns. I'm so tired of this. Let ICE do their job. Let National Guard do their job. Let the local court system do their job. Start upholding the southern border. Start kicking out the illegals that don't belong here. There's about 1.4 of them, and only, I think, 13,000 are, currently incarcerated in some form. Start kicking those folks out, and anybody with a criminal record, kick them out as well. I have zero issue with that. Focus on the criminals. I have no issues with that whatsoever. And in fact, I say we get a head start. I say don't wait until January. Let's just get going on this now, because sometimes you need that running head start. We'll make some progress. 2025. Yep. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. I'll catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.